WVEC-TV, plan.
And here we go.
This is Jeff McKay, ABC News.
This is Camp Lemonier, as the name suggests, a former outpost of the French Foreign Legion. It's now a kind of home away from home for some 2,000 American military men and women this Christmas. They're out here in Djibouti, East Africa, fighting the war on terrorism in a most unexpected way. They're doing it not with bombs and bullets, but with goodwill and good deeds. In what is undeniably one of the most impoverished places on earth, American troops are doing what they can to lend a hand. Here, Navy Religious Program Specialist 3rd Class Samuel Mills from the USS Harry S. Truman drops off humanitarian supplies donated by the people of Hampton Roads.
It's really a touching experience to come from what we have in the States. It's an eye-opener to see all the poverty that's around here, and it's heartwarming to be able to come out and help the local people.
I volunteered to come over to Djibouti because I'm coming to Africa, and it's not often you could come to Africa, you know, on the military's dime. So it's easy, it's good because you can experience, say that, hey, I went to Africa and I went for this reason here. I didn't go just for luxury, I went for it to help people out.
Combined Joint Task Force Horn of Africa, with nearly 100 Corps staff members from Joint Forces Command in Suffolk, is dedicated to the idea of avoiding conflict altogether through the use of 3 Ds: diplomacy, defense, and development. The troops know it's important work, even if it does mean being 8,000 miles from home at the holidays, says Langley Air Force Base Major Lanny Greenbaum.
Being here, being proactive, doing things now to prevent things that would happen 10 or 15 years from now. The mission is very worthwhile.
They go forward into Djibouti and 12 other countries in the Horn of Africa region and work with the 187 million people who live there, teaching in schools, volunteering in orphanages, and training local soldiers how to fight. Secretary of Defense and William & Mary alum Robert Gates praised the overall effort during an early December visit to the camp.
It's humanitarian, it's professionalizing African militaries, it's helping them build institutions and strengthen their institutions.
Still, with the U.S. military already stretched thin around the globe, does it make sense to devote so much manpower to this corner of the world right now?
Why Africa and why now?
Well, I think there's been a real realization within our own country and our government strategic importance of Africa. 40% of the world's oil or something moves through these straits all the time. So it's very, very important. And that really gets to our mission. And what we're doing here is we're trying to prevent conflict, promote regional stability, protect our interests and our partners' interests in order to prevail against extremism.
Back in Africa, the people are so poor when the U.S. military hands out even a few donations like these from generous Hampton Roads residents, small scenes of chaos can spontaneously erupt.
And this place have beautiful people, human beings, made in the image of God, all of that, and yet they one package can turn 10 kids into a mob trying to grab that one little bit just because they don't have anything. That touches my heart.
Chaplain of the Air Force Major General Charles Baldwin traveled to the Seventh-day Adventist Clinic outside a refugee camp outside downtown Djibouti City.
Those children will never, they may not even know we're Americans, but it doesn't matter. They are people who came here to help. And maybe they'll remember that somebody in a uniform showed up and did something kind and gentle, and that's a good thing.
The people who run these clinics and orphanages and schools here in Djibouti say it would be hard, if not impossible, to do what needs to be done without the help of the U.S. military.
Well, it is a big help to us because you see how limited our resources are here. And with the coming of your group to help us with our needs, it boosts our assistance to the people who are in need.
At nearby St. Mary's Orphanage, Combined Joint Task Force Horn of Africa troops show up 3 times a week.
Basically, the folks from the camp just come out and help with the feeding, play with the kids, spend time with them. That's a big help.
At the Horsehead School in the Balala district of Djibouti, every Monday night the Americans come to teach African school children how to speak conversational English. They even let me do my part. I left them with the best lesson I could think of.
What a great opportunity it is to be of service when we have time off from our mission for projects such as this. The compassion, the heart of the American people is seen here.
We are very, very happy for giving us a hand to the students.
The idea, though, is not simply to give a hand out, but a hand up to people in need. Chaplain Baldwin says it's an important American legacy that could pay dividends in the ongoing war on terror, and that's the whole idea.
We go in and make the world a better place. We don't leave landmines, we leave food and clothes.
Lock it to the rear, hold this, and then...
Way out in the middle of nowhere in a remote mountain range in the Arta province of the Republic of Djibouti, members of the Djiboutian Air Force get an up-close and personal tutorial in the finer points of the M249 Squad automatic weapon. This kind of military-to-military training dovetails perfectly with Combined Joint Task Force Horn of Africa's stated objectives, one of which is helping Africans solve Africa's problems. The expert training comes courtesy of the Marines' 3rd Low Altitude Defense Battalion out of Camp Pendleton, California. Officer in charge Sung Park comes from Centerville, Virginia.
And overall, just to foster good relations between two of us and promote just regional stability, help them help themselves. Pretty much, we're here to pretty much provide any kind of resources that they need.
What our training do can help them one day take security of their own country, and without our help, that'd be great.
It's a crucial element in the overall U.S. strategy for being here, preventing conflict by promoting stability, protecting coalition interests, and prevailing against extremism. For their part, the students seem to be quick studies and most grateful for the help.
The country of Djibouti, people like the Americans. So he's not the only one, who likes the Americans. So everyone, because of a lot of job opportunities, for the Djiboutians.
And this is that dried out riverbed. We went over that dried out riverbed into this intersection. This is where we're at right now.
The Americans also take their African colleagues out on convoy. One key element of setting up any army is developing a sound system of force protection. The idea here is to show the Djiboutian armed forces how the Americans do it. So the pupils go out on point, they stand watch just like the Yanks, and they wring out every last drop of U.S. know-how. So far, so good.
It's very good to work with the Americans because we're all military, and the work with the Americans is very nice and very good.
The sights and sounds of the Christmas season are everywhere to be found at Camp Lemonier, Africa. You don't have to look real hard or real long to stumble upon them. Of course, the temperatures in the high 80s and low 90s makes it a little hard to feel but so jolly. Still, the 2,000 troops out here do the best that they can. Navy Lieutenant Patrice Higgins is a reservist from Little Creek.
What do you think is the hardest part about missing Christmas at home with loved ones?
I think it's the family time together, that togetherness, and being this far from home.
It's just another day. I don't know. There doesn't seem to be any seasons, holidays, or anything out here.
Navy Reservist Personnel Specialist 3rd Class Misty Parker of Hampton Roads has posted up pictures of her husband and daughter and is resisting the temptation to feel sorry for herself.
I'll call home a couple times. I mean, what can I do? I'm not going to get myself in a tizzy, getting all upset and depressed about something I can't, I chose to join the Navy, so I can't complain.
Navy Lieutenant John Reynolds is an IA, individual augmentee, on loan from the Norfolk-based USS Oscar Austin. He copes with festive office decorations, and he knows that the work here is vital.
The mission here is an excellent one. The humanitarian efforts and the stopping problems before they arise and help the countries here stand up on their own and do what they need to do to be self-sufficient. It's awesome.
Hopefully it will be okay. In the Navy we're always going out to sea, so I spend many times Christmas out to sea, and actually this is better than being floating around, and so it's not too bad.
Navy IT-1 Eric Barney of Virginia Beach has tried to beat the holiday blues by getting off base and playing basketball with local African children.
It was actually pretty nice. I mean, number one, to just get out and mingle and mingle with the kids and just be a positive, role model to them, was very important to me.
Langley Air Force Base Major Dwayne Webster of Seaford, Virginia, has one of the more interesting jobs on camp and off of it. He and his team go out on medical and veterinary civil affairs patrols, treating two-legged and four-legged patients in the Horn of Africa. Webster and his office mates do what they can to make the workplace a little more festive. For Dwayne, the first hurdle was simply accepting where he was being sent.
Originally, I was actually supposed to be going to Balad in Iraq. And a few weeks later, I got the call that said, no, you're now going to Djibouti, Africa. And I was wondering, where is Djibouti, Africa? I'd never heard of it.
The scenery can be so desolate. Sometimes in this corner of the world, it seems as though you're on another planet. Occasionally here in Djibouti, we'll stumble upon small pockets of what could only be described as comparative prosperity. But in the vast majority of the rest of the country and the region, it can only be described as abject poverty. 45% of the estimated 650,000 people here are considered by the World Bank to be poor. 10% are rated as extremely poor, unable to afford food. The annual per capita income here is $780. Combined Joint Task Force Horn of Africa's core objective, simply put, is to just help here and in the other dozen neighboring countries that fall under the command's area of responsibility. This is one of the hopes here, that the people will see that generosity and education and hope and potential, the types of things that hopefully through your good deeds you're showing them day in and day out, week in, week out, that they'll see that there's a better way than extremism, than violence.
Right, that is part of it. It's clearly a major part of it, trying to turn this around. But it's about us working with the host nations, okay, to do those small building block pieces to hopefully put in place a foundation that creates in people's minds, it is better for me to be part of the government than not part of the government.
As long as the host countries will have us here, do you think we'll always be here now? I mean, to the extent, maybe not here, but I mean here in this region.
I'd like to think that we can change our emphasis. We need to put emphasis here now. We need to help them build capacity. But as they do that, we need to leave the building blocks in place so they can do it on their own, and then we can just have mutual relationships, do exercises together, sort of sustainment training, if you will. I mean, that's long term where you'd like to go.
In perhaps the last place on earth you might expect it, strains of Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody fill the night air in East Africa. At a community outreach center outside Djibouti City, members of the United States Central Command Expeditionary Band Hot Brass have traveled all the way from Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio to entertain as perhaps only they can.
It is a very cool gig, and considering that probably many of these people have never heard an ensemble of our type.
Two trumpets, a tuba, trombone, and sax are augmented by drums for a festive night of rock, jazz, Dixieland, even famous American TV show themes. Talk about spreading a little goodwill.
There's no language barrier at all. And for someone to enjoy a piece of music, you don't need to know French, you don't need to know Djiboutian, you don't need to speak English. You can just listen and enjoy it.
The performance was much appreciated by locals.
Since the Americans have come to Djibouti, we are coming to know each other. And on the cultural side, the American culture we were viewing from far away is coming very close to us, and that's a good thing.
Meantime, back at the camp, the band did its best to bring a little holiday cheer to the troops, blasting through an eclectic set of contemporary and classic Christmas carols.
Some of these guys and gals are here for 12 months or longer, and when you consider that they're leaving families behind and they don't have but, holiday music that comes piped in on a CD or something like that, it's really, we've gotten a great response from people that have come into the dining facility where we played yesterday and say, hey, that was really cool to hear, live brass music. Felt like you're walking down the streets of Chicago listening to the Salvation Army Band or something like that. So.
Oh, and did I mention they're from Dayton?
This is Tech Sergeant Eric Knorr here in Djibouti, Africa. Just wanted to give a shout out to Joe Flanagan from Dayton, Ohio. Hi, Joe, back in Norfolk, Virginia.
And so that's our holiday salute to the 2,000 or so American military men and women out here at Camp Lemonier in Djibouti, Africa. On behalf of all the troops and photographer Pierre Simmons, thanks for watching us and happy holidays.